bestie Jessica.
So it's that time again. It is time for us to do our Bestie Book Tea, where we talk about all the books that we read this past week with 1 minute synopses. It's synopses, right? Synopsises?
I think you could just say 1 minute synopsis.
We'll go with that. The 1 minute synopsis. I can't say it. We're going to talk about the books in a minute. Before we get started, make sure you guys hit subscribe. We are still doing our Road to 1K giveaway. Our next tier level is 250, and we will be giving away a copy of Elsie Silver's Flawless. It is a special edition, and it will be signed by Elsie. We'll be picking it up this weekend at 11 Seattle. So make sure you hit subscribe to be entered to win that. All right. So I forgot to tell you guys to grab your favorite beverage. What do you got today, Mandy?
Well, I have a Diet Dr. Pepper, but I've almost drank all of it.
I just have water. You just have water and your favorite coaster, because I have my it's my Cora Riley coaster.
Someone keeps telling me I'm going to get a coaster. I'm not sure when I'm
You know what? I went to go make them for you the other day, and I realized that my husband had put all of my crafting supplies to do that up above in our laundry room above our washing machine and dryer, and I can't reach that high. So you didn't get any made before your birthday. Sorry. I'll do it. I promise. I will do it. Okay, so how was your reading week?
It wasn't super great. I only got 6 books read. I had 1 5-star read, and the rest were just blah.
Wait, did you really have 6?
Nope, I had 7.
Yeah, I had 6. You had 7.
I keep thinking 6 because one of ours is the same.
Yes, one of ours is for our buddy read, so we'll talk about that together, and then our buddy read video will have already been out by the time this comes out, so go watch that. Mandy will link it. Yeah, so I read 6. It was a hard week for me reading wise because I was down visiting family over Easter weekend, and then we came home Monday, and then I had my 2-day-long live sale at work, and so I couldn't read it all for those 2 days, so it's hard. I hate that. But that's okay. I had an okay reading week. I had some pretty good reads, though. So why don't you start off, because you read more. It'll work better. So.
All right. The first book I read was called Tennessee Truths by Ashley Munoz. She is an author who will be at Love in Seattle this upcoming weekend. So I wanted to read some of her books. And unfortunately, Tennessee Truths just really, it was okay. I liked it, but it was not like earth-shattering. It was just a 3-star read for me. This is about Faith and Jace. Jace is kind of a bully to her when they are in early high school. Turns out he has a crush on her. And so they end up kind of having this epic love story. And right before they're supposed to go off to college, he abruptly breaks up with her and she's crushed and she just doesn't understand why. So she ends up moving away and she meets this billionaire, gets engaged, and now that she married him and that relationship did not work out, and now she's coming back to town 5 years later and of course is going to run into Jace. So this is like a second chance romance type situation, but none of these characters really worked for me. Faith was super annoying with how often we had to be reminded that she married a billionaire. Like it just really the story just didn't work for me. It just didn't work.
That's too bad.
I don't like when things have to be repeated over and over
I don't
again.
either.
And it's like, at one point I actually said out loud, I get it. You married a billionaire.
The thing is, I think when you're starting out, when you're trying a new author and those things happen and it doesn't work for you, I think it deters you from trying another one of their books, which is just really sad.
And I must be alone in my feelings because it's like a 4 on Goodreads, but it just, I don't know. I think also, Jessica, I'm starting to get a little more picky with my 5 stars. 5 stars, like I loved this book and cannot stop thinking about it. And a 4 is like, I really like this book. And a 3 is just like, I liked it, but I just, Yeah. And then 2 would be like, this book, I just really didn't like it. Yeah,
I hate to give 1s, but I'm kind of there with you. 5 stars are the ones that I know that I'm going to want to read over and over and over again. And like, they're like top tier on my shelf. And the 4 is just my average. It was good. I enjoyed it. Don't know if I'll ever reread it, And 3 is like, yeah, it was good. It had some flaws, but I liked it. It's all right.
Yeah, and it's probably not a book I'm going to go tell people to read.
No. No. It's not Birthday Girl, right?
No, it's not.
No. Sorry.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. So I started off my week with a bunch of rereads. And yes, they're alien. So suck it up, Mandy. So I read Chosen by a Beast by Miranda Bridges. So this is a spinoff of one of her other alien romance book series that she has out there, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this is about Jaxar and Michaela. So Michaela was abducted by aliens and taken to their planet. And when she was there, she didn't find a mate on that planet. So then she got abducted again a second time and ends up on Jaxar's planet. And he is like the chief of his tribe. Like they're these kind of like gargoyle-ish looking aliens. And they live pretty rough, barbarianish type. They live in a tribe. You know, it's that way. And she completes this trial at the very beginning of the book. And so Jaxar decides that she's going to be his queen and takes her, and she has to learn the ways there. It's actually very, very funny. There's a lot of humor in this book. I liked it for the humor. If you listen to the audio, which I do.
Your time's up.
Shush. I like the audio. I'm just going to give you a warning that the voice that the female narrator does for Jaxar is a little odd. I'm just going to put it out there. It's just a little odd. So you might want to read it the first time like I did. And then afterwards the audio was fine. But it's very breathy. It just isn't right. It isn't right. So.
All right.
Go.
I can go now?
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
No, shush.
All right. My next read was my 5-star read, my only 5-star read of the week, and that was King of the South by Calia Reid.
Yay!
It was delightful. It follows a lot of the characters that we meet in Surviving Trace. We see them, or actually I should say the Surviving Time series, we see them in this book. So this book is going to focus on Rainey and Livingston. And Miles, who is Livingston's best friend, was killed in the war. And nobody's really handling this well, that Miles is dead. And it turns out Miles left a will for Rainey to have a dowry. And that's significant. And her family is actually, her and her mom are the only ones left in their family now. And they are close to losing everything. So Rainey really needs this dowry. And the catch is she has to get married within 60 days. And Livingston was put in charge of this. And Livingston is just really, really fighting his feelings for Rainey. Serene is there, and so Serene is from our time. This is back in like 1920 now, I think we are.
It's right after World War I, because it was the Great War, which is World War I. So we're in the 20s, I think.
The war is over?
Yes. Because they fought in the Great War in World War I.
Yes, I know they were fighting, but I didn't realize the war was over in this book.
They're home, so I don't know.
Well, Miles is not
grab
home.
it, but I don't know. Anyhow,
Miles is not home. Miles died.
No, Livingston's at home.
Yeah, Livingston came back, but
yeah.
Anyway, Serene is from our time, and she decides that the best way for Rainey to meet her future husband is for her to put on kind of like a Bachelor style.
Yes. It's like the
TV show back in this day. And so that's what she does. And there's like a bachelor ball, they have a luncheon, there's all these different things. And it slowly starts to drive Livingston mad because he doesn't want Rainey with these other guys. And so him and Rainey start to kind of, you know,
they have a history. That was your backup timer.
Anyway, they
have a history. Like she
fantastic.
Talks about, yeah, it is. It's great. But because they talk about how like she shot him in the back of the leg with an arrow when she was a kid, and that comes up quite a bit. But I love that. That's what I think. I'm like, it's The Bachelorette meets Old South is what it was.
Yes,
like for me. I loved it.
A hoot. I really enjoyed it. So that was my 5-star.
I have to ask you though. The character Bo, the one who stutters really bad.
Oh, I actually felt so bad for him because he was so sweet. And I'm like, is he going to get his own book?
That was my thing. And I think she is actually going to, well, I think that she was mentioning that she was going to write a book for him, but I'm like, I want Bo. Can I have Bo? Can I have Bo? Like, that's the book that I want to see next is Bo's. So when she came out with the next one and it wasn't Bo, which we knew who it was going to be. It was Natalie's book, but I was like, I really want Bo's book. That's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. My turn.
Ready?
I'm ready. Okay. So then the next book I read, I went back to the alien stuff, but I went to the previous series before the gargoyle aliens. So this was Legislative Lover by Miranda Bridges. This is a part of her House of Kymar. It's the book 4 in the House of Kymar. So these girls have been abducted from Earth and they're brought to this planet. These guys are like elves, like Legolas elves, you know, the long blonde hair, pointy ears, the whole thing. And this girl is, you know, she's human. She's working with the doctor on their planet. She's a nurse. And so she's working with the doctor and they are having some political stuff behind the scenes going on. And she finds one of the guys who is actually one of the big legislative guys on their board, is taking a drug and he's overdosing. And so she puts him through the cleaning out process, whatever we call that. I can't really call it, but you know, she takes him through that and gets him off the drugs and they kind of have the connection. And so it kind of goes from there. You really have to read the series in order to get what's going on. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. It's good. Yeah. All these books are 4 stars for me. I reread them, obviously, so I like them. They're those palate cleansers. Mm-hmm. Just something kind of fun. They're quick reads. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, your turn.
My turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my next book is The Dare by Elle Kennedy. This is number 4 in the Briar U series, but they're all standalones. So the reason I started with number 4 is my son actually picked this book out at the bookstore by himself.
I love it.
My birthday.
What made him pick that one?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right, keep going. Sorry.
But he just found it and thought I would like it. Yeah, I get extra time now.
Yeah.
This is about Taylor. She is in a mean girl sorority. Like the girls in this group are really, really mean. And there's a dare. And she's dared to go upstairs and basically like she's supposed to go all the way with some guy. And they randomly end up picking Connor, who's like this, you know, hockey star because Briar U is all about their hockey. And she goes upstairs with him and she's like, I really don't want to do anything with you. Sorry, like that's just not my style. Like I'm not that type of girl. And he's like, oh, that's fine. We'll just sit here and talk. And then he pretends that like stuff is happening there. And they just end up kind of forming this friendship and they agree to do some fake dating just to kind of stick it to these mean girls. And then that's obviously where their relationship starts. They both have a lot of insecurities, so their relationship has a lot of bumps in it. But it was a 4-star read from me. I like Elle Kennedy and her hockey boys.
Kind of a palate cleanser. Just kind of. Yeah, works. Okay. So I read another one of the alien books. So after reading that last one, there were some things that I was questioning that I couldn't remember what happened in some of the earlier books. So I went to the second book in the House of Kymar series by Miranda Bridges, and that was The Monarch's Mate. Now, seriously, guys, I just needed to find something that was a quick read that was kind of a palate cleanser for me, so that's where I was. Again, read these in order. But this is about Morgan, and she's one of the girls who's been brought from Earth, and she's actually believed to be the mate to the prince who will someday be king of this planet. And she gets there and he's like been waiting to see her, and there's all this buildup to him wanting her there on his planet. And she gets there and the guy has a harem and he puts her in his harem, and she's like,
no wonder you liked it.
Well, no, but I mean, you got the drama of the girls, right? There's other things going on, and we find out about them, and it's not a bad thing. If the harem is what turns you off, trust me, it's a good thing. Just keep going, just read the book. But it's fun. She's snarky. She has her opinion. She had the language download, so she knows what they're saying when they speak in their language, but they don't know that she knows. It's great. Snarky little stinker, and she puts her foot down and, you know, gets her way. So, love it.
Okay, Jessica.
What?
I'm going to tell you about my next book, but I'm not going to start the timer yet, okay?
Why?
Because. So my next book is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And question. Let's say you married your high school sweetheart when you were 25. And right before your anniversary, he goes off to Alaska, of all places.
And like your 1 year anniversary?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're about 26 now.
Okay.
And or maybe you're going to be 27. I don't know. You're mid-20s now. Okay.
Okay.
And he goes off to Alaska and is presumed the helicopter goes down. They only find one body. They find a part of the helicopter. So it's out in the ocean. He's legally declared dead.
Yep.
You completely fall apart. You live in LA.
Ew, no.
You completely fall apart. Well, you guys were like travelers. So you traveled all over the world, had all these adventures together.
Okay.
And your home base is LA. So now you're moving clear across the country, back to the East Coast, to where your family is. And you reconnect with somebody that you knew when you were in high school. His name, Sam, let's just say. You and Sam reconnect.
Yeah.
And it's been a couple years and you guys start to date. And then you get married or engaged a year later. Okay. So you're freshly engaged. You're 31 now. Okay. So your life is going to look a lot different than it did, 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you're walking out of a restaurant and you get a phone call and it's your husband. Dun, dun, dun.
Do I get to keep them both?
No. That is this book.
Dang it.
This is why I didn't set the timer, because I thought this just worked much better as a
I think it does. And you but I don't get to keep them both.
No.
This isn't a reverse harem.
No, because there would have to be more than 2.
There would. That's a menage.
So
who do you keep? You've changed.
mm-hmm.
Who do you keep?
Because she was living this life where she's like traveling all the time, and then she kind of just fell apart when he's dead. And she goes home and she really just kind of settles down and is like ready to like start a life without all of that.
Yeah.
And she's happy and content. Like it's not just, she's not settling. Like this is where she's now at in life.
Wow. It was good, huh?
I didn't like it.
You did or didn't?
I didn't. It was a 3-star read for me. I did not care for it.
I thought you liked it. Okay.
But isn't that quite the question?
I don't like that. I don't like that idea. If I don't get to keep them both.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear, most people who go down in Alaska don't come back. You freeze in the water. Okay.
I don't want to say anything.
I'm assuming, I've got assumptions already having read the book. Okay. So, should we talk about my next one?
Sure.
Okay, so I read When the Earl Met His Match by Stacy Reid. This has been going around the booktube community. Everybody's loving it. And there's a reason why. It is just that good. It really is. I gave it 5 stars. This is about Hugh and Phoebe. So this is obviously a historical. Hugh is mute. He can hear, but he can't talk. And his family's they're living in Scotland, and they kind of have left society, London society, and he needs to get back into society. And so he puts an ad in the paper for a wife, and he talks about what he needs. He's a gentleman. He's part of that group, and he's looking for a wife. And so Phoebe sees it, and she sends him a letter to tell him that, no, this is not how you go about doing it. And they have this correspondence back and forth. And then something happens to her where she has to leave, and she ends up on his doorstep. And she's like, okay, I'll marry you. And it wasn't, when she was writing him, it wasn't to marry him. It was to tell him that is not how you go about doing it. But circumstances in her life push her to him. And he is her, the only person she can go to. And it was good. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. Loved it. Loved it. And I am not someone who loves historical romance. I loved it. Loved it.
Okay. I'm glad you loved it.
It'll probably be in my top 5 of the month. We'll see. I might have a great month where it'll be hard to choose, but I think it'll be in my top 5.
Well, I have another book that was just a 3 for me that also really surprised me. Like, I thought that I was going to love this.
Okay.
And I thought I was going to love this book too. I read Shattered Sea by Catherine Cowles. It's number 4 in the Tattered and Torn series. I usually love Catherine Cowles, and this was a 3 for me. Let me tell you why, Jessica.
Tell me why.
Since I set my timer.
Okay.
So this is about Lakin. Lakin runs the gallery in Wolf Gap. And this, again, is a romantic suspense. So first off, I think we just all need to recognize that you are not safe if you live in Wolf Gap. Like, you should not live here. Nothing good comes of it if you live in this town and you're starting to fall in love. Okay, so she runs the gallery. We've met her a little bit. Like, Addie works there. So if you've read the other books, you can read this as a standalone, but they kind of flow together, I think, a little bit better if you read them in order. This book just didn't do it for me, though. And I read other people's reviews where they're like, this one just didn't quite work. So Lakin is running the gallery, and we get more of her backstory of what happened to her and how she was in this really bad car accident, and her boyfriend Chase, who was her like high school sweetheart boyfriend when they're teens, he dies in this car crash. And so that's kind of what this whole book is kind of propelled forward by, is like that trauma is still very much at the front and center of everything. Bowden is this major movie star, and he comes to town to kind of get away from stuff going on in his life, as well as study for a role. Like, he's going to watch a horse trainer and stuff. It was too insta friendshipy and lovey for me. Like, he just all of a sudden, like, he's going to lunch with the sheriff, and like I feel like he needed to have some ties so these people would be like more like, you know, like that stuff would make more sense. But a few of that stuff I could look like, you can kind of overlook some of that stuff and just go with the story. But I just didn't quite get into it like I enjoyed the other ones. And maybe it's because, like, after you're on your 4th book and it's that romantic suspense, like I said, like, don't live in this town if you're falling in love, it starts to feel like soap opera-y, maybe.
Yeah. I can see that. Definitely. That was disappointing. I haven't. I mean, we're going to meet Catherine Cowles this week. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It's okay. It happens. So I have a 5-star read, though, next.
Of course you do. Again. Go.
So I read Desire in His Blood by Zoey Draven. This one, you guys, if you've heard me talk about Zoey Draven, you know that I love her Captive of the Horde King series, which is back up here behind me somewhere. This one takes place, it is also an alien book. Our hero, Gemma, is from Earth originally, or she's human. We haven't lived on Earth in a while. There's like a new Earth, and then there's this planet where she lives. Basically, her father has gambled away all their family's estate and all their family's money. And in order to save her sisters and her father, she's being forced to marry Azure, who is like a vampire, kind of. He's got wings, and he does drink blood, and he marries her because of a vendetta against her family. And so there's a lot of not liking each other in the beginning. She's scared. She tries not to show how scared she is, but it is so good. It's good. Vampire and alien with a vendetta, and he's got wings.
I need new friends.
Put up with me for this long, so I'll make you read next. It was really good, though.
Wonderful.
Tell me about your next book.
That's all 6 of my books. My next book would be our buddy read book.
Oh yeah, that's right. Mine too.
Okay.
Our buddy read.
So our buddy read book is Right Man, Right Time by Meghan Quinn. I will link the video so you can hear all about it. That does have spoilers, though, so My spoiler-free synopsis would be that this is hockey, age gap, and fake dating.
It's age gap by 10 years.
I'm just telling people the troops.
Yeah.
The tropes.
What did you give it, star-wise?
Well, they need to tune into our live to find out.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Well, at this point, I mean, it's already,
They need to rewatch
they need to watch the live. Sorry.
Yeah, so we both read it to hear our thoughts.
Yeah.
Watch live.
So our 1 minute book rec would be fake dating, hockey, age gap, Meghan Quinn, cartoon cover.
Should have known from the cartoon cover.
I'd like to point out that Jessica suggested this book for our group read.
No, I'd like to point out that you and I came up with the newest releases, then we sent them out to the girls, and then we chose from that. So don't you put this all on me. It has a cartoon cover.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson.
Well, I voted for Birthday Girl.
It's not a new release. Oh, Mandy. Okay, so hey, guys.
Jessica, before we go, I have to complain to you about something.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
wait, did I do it?
No, but on my phone, I get those like reels and Instagram posts and Facebook posts, like the ads. That's what I'm talking about, more the ads for books. And I've made the mistake of clicking on them a few times and they just never go away after that.
And they're always disappointing.
No, that's not true. I have found some very good ones, okay? And one really good one popped up that I really wanted to read. And because I've been just not having a great reading week, it was a YA, which are good palate cleansers for me. I know you don't care for them. You read weird alien stuff for your palate cleansers. I just like a wholesome romance from a YA book.
All the cool kids are reading the aliens.
And I found a really good one and I was very excited about it. But every time I tried to go get it on my phone to send it to my Kindle, it kept wanting me to like relog into it like was doing all this weird stuff with relogging into my Amazon account. I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I had to go search up the author and found out that most, if not all of her books are on some weird thing called Kindle Vella.
Oh, yeah. You don't know about that?
Well, now I do.
Oh.
And you're supposed to buy tokens to get chapters.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not.
No.
So I personally messaged this author and I'm like, hey, I really want to read your books. This is the only way I can. And she said that she has a book coming out on pre-order and then all the other books that's the only way to get them until they're done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Some authors do that. I would wait till the book is done.
Well, and then the other thing is you can't even get it. It won't go to your Kindle.
No.
You have to read it on the computer.
You're going to end up paying more for the book than you would if you just waited for it to get done.
Yeah. So I'm like, why? But she had like 20 books. Like
I know. There's some books, some authors that.
And I'm like, I just like that. I'm like, never mind.
No.
Like, I'll check back and see if you ever get some books out of it. I thought that was so weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so everybody knows. Yeah, no, don't do it. So. Yeah.
I'm like, this is weird. And then I'm reading about it and it's like, you have to buy tokens and one token gets you approximately this many words. I'm like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to read a book, not like play an arcade game.
And look, I have no problem buying a book and paying the money to read a book. Authors should get paid for their work. I mean, end of story. But something like that to me is a ripoff. It's just, I mean, but if you want to do it, fine. That's your money. You go do it. But for me, I'd rather wait for the book and not have to pay 4 times what a book is actually worth.
Well, yeah. Honestly, I would pay that price. Just tell me the price and I'll read it. But I want to read the whole book. I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like to read right now. I was reading the Vegas Expansion Team by Lisa Suzanne, and like the final book just came out a couple days ago, so I just got it on my Kindle to read it, and I only had to wait a little over a week for the last book, and I didn't even like doing that. Like, I usually like all the books to be out at once. I don't like that waiting.
I don't either. But that also brings up another valid point, and I don't know. I know this. Maybe I think I've told you this before. But when you're reading on Kindle Unlimited, authors that have their books on Kindle Unlimited, they get paid for those by the page. So if you take out a book on Kindle Unlimited, and when you open that up, it automatically starts at the first chapter. So what you should do in order for authors to get paid the full price for their book or the full fee is scroll back to the title page and then scroll through so that they get paid for those pages before and the ones at the end as well when you finish the book, because they don't get the full price if you don't click on that page.
Oh, that's weird.
Isn't it though? So now I try to make it a point. If I have a Kindle Unlimited book, which a lot of us do, that's a great way to save money. I will go to the start page, just make sure the author gets, paid for their work, the full amount. So just so everybody knows. So, okay. Are we good now?
Yes, I just really needed to talk to someone about that.
Well, that's what I'm here for. So, so that's what we have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.